power to the people. This video will serve as an introduction for my new book, Chess Pieces, Suppression of Political Dissent, Exposing Government Lies and Corruption. As most of you know, if you've been following my videos, earlier this year, I produced a video about the Stoneman Douglas shooting, and that video was fraudulently taken down by YouTube for supposedly violating community guidelines. Although I've produced videos on YouTube for over 10 years, I have never monetized my videos. This is my ministry, so I never wanted to make it about making money. Instead, to make ends meet, I own a small business. Well, after the video about the Stoneman Douglas shooting was taken down, I began receiving phone calls at my business from people who live in Parkland, requesting to book events with me to lure me to Parkland. I always refused because my spirit told me that this was nothing more than a setup. Since February of this year, contacts from questionable individuals have continued to increase. Let me give you a brief synopsis of some of the individuals I have encountered. I've been contacted by several people who have been connected to 6 different billionaires. That in itself is unexplainable. One woman was connected to Michael Bloomberg, the founder of Everytown for Gun Safety, and the man responsible for financing the March for Our Lives movement, which was built around the students from Parkland. Through her so-called activism, this woman is also involved with the county commission, the sheriff's office, and Stoneman Douglas. A second person that contacted me, and who happens to be a millionaire business owner himself, was also connected with billionaire Richard Branson. We all know Richard Branson is good friends with Barack Obama. The third person to contact me was a woman who just so happens to work for a billionaire developer who is, again, also friends with Barack Obama. This is important since my videos have stated that Barack Obama will eventually be revealed as the biblical Antichrist, the son of perdition. Therefore, it's no coincidence that people connected with him have tried to get in contact with me. I have also been contacted by 3 different police officers, all of whom work for the same sheriff's office that responded to the Stoneman Douglas shooting. I have also been contacted indirectly by a mayor and vice mayor from different counties. On one occasion, I was contacted by an individual who tried to book my company for an event at an abandoned house that had been recently condemned and gutted by fire. On another occasion, I was booked for an event, but when I showed up to that event, no one was around. It was like a ghost town. Both of these incidents were obviously attempts to set me up for an ambush. However, because of the protection of the Most High, both attempts failed. In fact, since the Stoneman Douglas video was removed, I have also been contacted by several different lawyers and law firms inquiring about my business, including a lawyer whose child was at Stoneman Douglas during the shooting. However, most recently, I was contacted by an assistant U.S. attorney for the Department of Justice. This person called from her office at the DOJ to inquire about booking an event with my business. Now, why in the world would an assistant U.S. attorney be making contact with me for a private matter from her DOJ office phone? An assistant United States attorney, or AUSA, is a federal prosecutor and a public official who represents the federal government on behalf of the U.S. Attorney in criminal prosecutions and in certain civil cases as either the plaintiff or the defendant. In carrying out those duties as prosecutors, AUSAs have the authority to investigate persons, issue subpoenas, file formal criminal charges, plea bargain with defendants, and grant immunity to witnesses and accused criminals. I'm no criminal, so there is no reason for an assistant United States attorney to be investigating me or even calling me. Quite odd, in light of the fact that I've produced these videos concerning Stoneman Douglas, and all of these phone calls have happened subsequently. In my book, Chess Pieces, Suppression of Political Dissent, Exposing Government Lies and Corruption, I will reveal all of the information that I have compiled on each one of these individuals that have contacted me. And I will expose how all of these people are connected in some way. I only ask that you support the book when it is released by purchasing a copy, as it seems that I will be forced to close my current business because of the harassment and quote-unquote gang stalking I am now experiencing. I have thought long and hard about this situation that I have found myself in for doing nothing more than speaking the truth, the exercise of my First Amendment rights, more importantly, my God-given right to express my own thoughts and ideas. Even the former CIA agent who works for CNN, whom, mind you, I criticized in my original Stoneman Douglas video, said himself on CNN that people have the right to say what they want.
The North Koreans, looking at other adversaries or potential adversaries, the Chinese, the Russians. These countries, one of the common characteristics they have is people who want to speak out because they have views that don't correspond with the views of government are either sidelined or, in some cases, if you look at Vladimir Putin, murdered. I don't care what I say. I don't care what John Brennan says. I have the right to say it. I don't care whether the president likes it or not. If it's Bush, if it's Obama, if it's Trump, I have the right to say it.
In the past, the media has reported on individuals who were arrested by the FBI for planning attacks on institutions or organizations because of their so-called extremist beliefs. I assure you that I am no extremist. I am no threat to anyone. I do not believe that disagreements, especially concerning political or religious matters, should ever be solved with violence. I believe that everyone has a right to express their opinions peacefully with civility, even if you do not agree with them. However, I believe that we are now living in a society where a citizen can be ostracized, persecuted, and even prosecuted for simply espousing beliefs that are unpopular or considered politically incorrect. If we continue on this path of intolerance for opposing ideas, how much longer will it be before American citizens are kidnapped in the middle of the night, hauled off from their homes, and placed in gulags as political prisoners? Because of this, I've decided to bring these matters before the public. In the book, I will reveal the identity of all the people I have previously allowed to remain anonymous. They are the super wealthy, the businessmen, and the politicians, which mean they control the political ideology and set the ethical and social order of this country. They are the media, which means they control public opinion through the use of propaganda. They prop up so-called celebrities and use them to influence their fanatics. They are the judges, the lawyers, and the law enforcement officers, which means they control the legal system itself. They even control the criminals, the infiltrators and informants, the agent provocateurs, whom they use to handle their dirty work so that they themselves can keep their hands relatively clean, allowing them to maintain the appearance of legitimacy. This is the ruling class, the oligarchs, that keep the masses of the people divided and fighting amongst themselves over trivial issues, while they corrupt our children by encouraging unnatural behaviors and blasphemous ideals. They are the people who tell us we must give up some of our freedoms for the sake of security, when in fact the true goal is the eradication of freedom altogether. How can anyone go to the system which has done nothing but oppress them and assassinated or imprisoned anyone who looks like them that has spoken against it, to ask that same organization or system to discontinue its ways, to undergo a metamorphosis, to completely change and do the opposite of what it has naturally done from its inception? This means that people like you and I have no real avenue for redress or relief from persecution or prosecution from this evil, maniacal system. But does that mean we refuse to raise our voices and speak the truth, even in the face of adversity? God forbid. Moses told Pharaoh, "Let my people go." Isaiah and John both declared, "Prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God." And Yahushua himself said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father, but by me." The system is not God. It only pretends to be. All power to the people. And by that, I mean the people of the Most High God. Amen. Shalom.